Welcome back to the Rundown. Well, over the past decade, Israel has made a diplomatic push to restore or upgrade relations with African states. One of those is the East African nation of Tanzania, which opened its first embassy here only in 2018. Our diplomatic correspondent, Eli Hockenberg, sat down to talk to its envoy to Israel for a wide-ranging discussion. Let's take a listen.
Ambassador Joe Masima.
Yes, welcome.
Please,
nice
sir.
To see you.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good.
Ambassador Joe Masima of Tanzania, of course, thank you so much for your time today, and congratulations as Tanzania is marking its 60th anniversary.
Thank you for coming, Eli. I remember last time we had a similar interview. It's about 4 years when we were opening our embassy. And also you had a thrilling interview with my former Minister for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Mahiga, who unfortunately passed away about 2 years ago. So, Eli, here is your home. Thank you for coming, seeing me off after receiving me for the first time.
My absolute pleasure, sir. And before we touch on zoom in rather, on the bilateral relations between Tanzania and Israel, let's talk about the more news-related topics. First and foremost, of course, we cannot ignore the turbulent past 2 years of the coronavirus pandemic. Most recently, the spreading Omicron variant originated in South Africa. And we do hear a lot of criticism already about the policies, especially on travel ban that are targeting many African countries, saying it is A, ineffective, and B, somewhat hypocritical. Your thoughts?
Basically, I do agree with those, because it's 2 years since this pandemic started, and it seems as if we are not learning. We are not getting any experience of this pandemic. The pandemic of the variants is moving from one variant to another variant, which meant that we could have learned a lot from it. But it seems that every time we're being taken by surprise. Measures such as those which you've mentioned, which are now being taken unilaterally, are harming the country. Singling out Africa on travel ban, I think is one of the unscientific, unproven, and really, to me, I could say it's a bit xenophobic. Why doing that one? So I think the world needs to reconsider. The Secretary General for UN has already voiced his concern on this one. So we add on our voice on that. Please, I think we should stop this xenophobic approach.
And let's move to the diplomatic arena. The nuclear talks in Vienna are set to resume on Thursday between Iran and world powers. Africa is staying out of it for the time being. But how do you perceive, obviously, an issue of paramount importance from the Israeli standpoint, how do you perceive, as a veteran diplomat, the dynamics in Vienna and how it could affect the region, Iran's nuclear ambitions and Iran's regional ambitions? Is it a point of interest at all for Africa?
Of course, this one has been one of the dividing issues in the world, particularly those whom you possess nuclear, or you have something in relation with the nuclear, and those who could say that you are on the front line. If there is any attack, you are on the front line. But for countries such as ours, first we need to understand really what is the whole thing all about. Of course, we read from the papers, what's that? But for us, our biggest concern is not what is happening between Israel and Iraq. What is the world doing? We need to sing from the same hymn sheet number, that what the world is saying, whether it's in Israel or is in Iraq, we must say the same. So as long as the world becomes divided, then it makes some of our countries to keep quiet and to see what's happening. And then our decision will go the way the UN decides.
Right. And to regional development, a major regional development that has a ripple effect on African nations, the historic Abraham Accord that obviously includes Morocco as well. Do you see it as a positive development here in the region? Do you think it can further affect the relations between African nations and Israel, or maybe even other Middle Eastern nations?
It's really positive, really positive. And last time I flew to Dubai and I saw the way the integration between Israel and Arab countries is really amazing. I even attended the Expo in Dubai 2020. You could see the way Israel and the world are coming together. So this, wherever there is any conflict, this has been our policy from the beginning, that wherever there is any conflict, one who comes out with the solution, he needs to be congratulated. So on that one, whether it's Morocco or any Arab countries, I think is the right move to do. I've been saying somewhere that this Middle East region, if it happens that you manage to get an Abraham Accord with all Middle East countries is going to be a region to reckon with. You have got everything. You've got the resources. You've got the brain. You've got everything. We forget about Europe. We forget about the US. We forget about other groupings. Middle East is going to be a region to reckon with if you compile and finish these differences. So I congratulate you on this.
And now, sir, let's zoom into the bilateral ties. Again, you've been here 4 years, and we've seen so much progress in numerous fields, including agriculture, including security-related topics. What are your highlights?
Oh, they are done. We could come in a number of sectors. First, if we could come to the diplomatic sector, we've had a number of visits between our leaders. We had a defense cooperation between Israel and Tanzania before, but it wasn't to this scale as it is now. We are now having an MOU between Israel and our defense forces there, and they are cooperating in a number of fields, information exchange, training, and so forth. So this is another area. But now come to tourism. The number of tourists going to Tanzania has increased massively. Before opening the embassy in 2017, we used to receive around 20,000 Israeli visiting Tanzania. But as we speak now, and of course before the corona, the number has gone up to 50,000 a year. This is a good number. Come to other issues such as agriculture. We're having a number of agricultural firms which are in Tanzania now working. A clear example is the Netafim. They're there in Tanzania. So the cooperation has really increased between Tanzania and Israel in a number of fields.
Ambassador Joe Masima of Tanzania concluding his post here in Israel after 4 very exciting years. Thank you very much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And let's go